Welcome to Lifecast with Ryan Leake and friends this season as we have been talking about my book, Chasing Failure. Today, we're talking about Chapter 11, If at First You Don't Fail, Try Again. And it's all around this principle of anytime you actually have gotten a little bit of success, the temptation is to stop taking risk. And the reality is what all of us had to learn through a pandemic in 2020, now through 2021, even coming back to normal and trying to figure out what all of that looks like is, I think we all have had to learn how to pivot. Most of the time, I would say pre-pandemic, people didn't have to change. They felt like they could stay the same. And we had this phrase, people were stuck in their old ways. COVID-19 did not ask for anyone's permission at all. There was no real warning of like, this is how much things are going to change. We knew it was coming, but we didn't know if it was going to be on par with Ebola. We didn't know if it was going, like, what was it actually going to look like? And I remember actually talking to you when the NBA shut down, we said, hey man, this thing is getting real. And when they shut down the Nike store, it was like, okay, they really not playing games, okay? And then the world changed. And we were forced to change with it. And so I began to look around just the world, where culture is as a whole. Right now, in the United States, the population under the age of 18 is only 50% white, currently. And by the year 2045, I believe the statistics say that the US population as a whole will be less than 50% Caucasian, which is interesting, which really tells us that the future is a whole lot more diverse than it's ever been before, which means businesses are going to be selling to different types of customers than they have previously, which makes everyone have to do this very, very hard thing, which is pivot. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like you go through all of this stuff to get comfortable, but you can't stay comfortable. You have to continue to evolve. You have to continue to innovate. In the book, I go through what some of the top companies in the world spend each year on research and development. In other words, here are the risks we're about to take because we're constantly thinking about the future. And I think each person should do the exact same thing. And so what I encourage people to do in the book is to really think about, okay, think of yourself as a company. And what are you investing in the future? And so the question I would have for any of you would be, when you think about the future, what are you preparing for now? When you think about what is coming down the line, what's in your mind right now as you prepare for your future?
I think the first thing that came to my mind for whatever reason was with marriage. Mm-hmm. And especially as I've made a career change and I'm going to be in the legal field, a lot of it is setting proper expectations for my wife of, hey, this is what you can't know for sure. And it's not that I'm projecting something that's negative, but it's like, here's probably what the next 6 months are going to look like. Here's what the next year might look like. Here's realistically when we might be able to put a down payment on a house. Here's realistically when we might be able to get a house that's like, this is the one that I've really wanted. And if we set those goals, those are good goals, and they're probably going to happen sooner than that. But there's a lot of like setting expectations of what things are going to look like. I think whenever I look at sort of, I guess kind of doing like R&D on my own deal, I kind of took a get out of jail card on that one because I chose the legal profession, and that has been around for thousands of years. It's just not going anywhere. My brother's a doctor. That's the only other profession that's been around for thousands of years. Right. So maybe that's why we chose it. I don't know. But even within that, there's evolving. The way we do research is very different than the way we did it 20 years ago, from what they tell us. And as you said, like, I mean, even if you do just do it based on race, it's, I'm not going to be necessarily in the, I know that 50% being Caucasian might still be the biggest of the single, demographics, or if you go by race, but it's still like, I can't plan or assume that I'm always going to be in this majority and take some sort of like what we were talking about, where I'm not the first to go anywhere. I can't assume that like, oh, things are always going to be the same way they were, and then look at change as a threat, and not something that's like, this is a good thing. Like this is not just good, it's great for us to keep heading in this direction. If I'm not already planning on being open to that, and who my daughter's going to date and what they're going to look like and who they're going to be, and not having some pre-planned idea of what that needs to look like or something, I think I'm setting myself up, and I'm setting up my kids for failure in that. So sometimes it's just planning on like, these are the expectations where they need to be and which ones I need to be careful of setting. So it might be a little vague, but.
No, but I think what I want to encourage people to do is to think about how they're going to, not just think about research and development, but think about how you're investing in yourself. What are you in? And you going to school is investing in yourself. I mean, a pretty hefty investment.
Mine's the easiest. It's kind of like I'm literally paying for it right now. Very real bills.
Yeah. I mean, Chastity, how are you investing in yourself today?
Yeah. I would say researching and being a part of programs that are led by people who have done what I'm trying to do. Right. And gleaning from that wisdom and that experience until I grow into that. Setting up systems now, so we talked about like this whole like being afraid of doing things that are super new because you don't know how to do it. It's like as I learn how to do those things, how am I documenting that in a way so that when someone does come and join me in the future, I'm like, okay, these were the steps that I took to help me get to that place. And it's hard for us to sometimes think about what could be, like what plans are gonna meet us in the future. Like what's gonna be there when time catches up? What am I gonna need to know? And that's the scary part because you don't know what you need to know. But I think kind of, as you were saying, like those expectations of like, it might be a little different, but that's life. Like how can we adjust to the newness of what's ahead? It might require something different to stay in business than it did to start a business, because it's like, I've done it. Oh crap, I've done it. I have to repeat this. I have to keep this up. Or, people are looking to receive a certain thing from me. How do I keep pushing out content or classes or courses?
Quality.
That's quality, right?
Yes.
So the same thing that got me like, you can do it, may be totally different from what will keep me, right? It's like, no, you need a different system to sustain you through that. So, yeah.
Chuck, we are in a group chat that's all about cryptocurrency. Okay, I mean, and it's like, me and Chuck have our own separate crypto chat where we're like, what are they talking about?
And it's not even like just a little, we'll wake up to 150 messages of crypto info.
They be at all hours of the night. 2:15 a.m. I'm like, Chuck, man, can you translate what they said last night? Do we put in? What app do we download now? I mean, it's its own world, but again, for a lot of people, it's a lot of people saying it is the future.
It's so funny you said that. I just bought into it last week. Cryptocurrency.
Listen, that's the point. We are watching YouTube videos. We are just.
Well, my boss is really good at, like, he was a finance business guy, and he knows stocks. He's the one that's kind of like schooled me on it. Yeah. So last week, we were talking, he has like Bitcoin, all that, but he got it like years ago, which now he is rolling. He's like, I can't wait. He's like, I could retire right now. But obviously he's like, the taxes. So when you're thinking about what are you doing to invest in your future, for me, like I can't plan. I don't know if I want to get married again, sure, But for me, my big thing is securing my finances and securing myself so that I can continue to live the life that I want to live, that I want a well-traveled life, all of that. And crypto last week, when I was talking with him, he was like, do it and just let it sit. And just, you have to be patient. and just keep investing little by little. He's like, do not sell. Call me before you sell, you know? And I was like, okay. So I did. Like, I didn't even do a lot of money. I think it wasn't even $100. But I'm looking at this thing grow, and I'm like, I'm gonna invest more, you know? Like, so for me, I will say as a single person now, just investing in myself. I've been on this kick lately on just reading a lot on just like executive leadership, habits, all professional development things. I want to go back to school, but I really want to go into like life coaching. And I've seen that in the pandemic, people are looking for that. People are looking for people to sit down and tell me how to do my life. You know, like I was asked by 2 girls a couple weeks ago, and I was like, you want to learn from me? Like, not that I'm not, but I was just like, okay, Vasi, if people want to learn from you, you've got to keep investing in yourself. Right. So I feel like for me, it's been more of like the financial thing and the development of like just keeping up with what's going on in our world and polishing that tool, sharpening, you know, myself with that.
Yeah, and I think that's important that people really build enough margin in their life to be able to try things. And a lot of people can't do anything about their goals because they have no margin, albeit financially. Some people don't have the margin as it pertains to their time. And I think what you're saying is huge, because I think people really find themselves often stuck and they feel like, I don't have the option to be able to do anything else. But if you take a fine-tooth comb through some of their spending habits, you go, well, I actually found some investment money. I found some space for you to be able to do some things. And now colleges there are so many certification programs now that you can go to get a certification in business, in training, in leadership. I talk about in the book, my brother got a certification from Cornell University on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, it took him 8 weeks to do. So even for people that would say, hey, I don't have a college degree or I didn't graduate, I'm like, man, I feel that, I understand that. But there is something you can do. And yeah, it's gonna cost money, but what doesn't cost money? Yeah. We're all gonna spend money on something over the next 5 years. There needs to be a portion of that I believe is investing in ourselves. Me and my wife, a couple of years ago, we were curious about the Enneagram, and I thought, man, this can add value to some of my clients' lives. So we went and got Enneagram certified. It took us 4 days. 4 days. And we went through a whole class. It was all day, and then we had to, you know, take a client through it. And, you know, I was certified within, I don't know, maybe 60 days total. The class was 4, and then, you know, just those 2 months to kind of take my client through to make sure I knew what I was talking about. But it was one of those things where it was like, okay, I'm adding something to the tool belt. Yeah. And I'm already looking into other certifications to go, okay, what would add value to some of my clients? And ultimately, what would add value to the people that I speak to? You talk about the pressure of not just creating consistent content, but consistent quality content. You've got to learn something new that maybe you're not always comfortable with, but I think it's important that we're constantly doing that to make an investment in ourselves to be able to add value to other people.
Thanks for watching today's episode of Lifecast with Ryan Leak. If you'd like to order your copy of Chasing Failure, you could do so on Amazon or wherever you like to buy books. Also, if today's episode added value to your life, you can rate it, share it with a friend. You can also drop a comment. And, as always, don't forget to subscribe.